We've done this dance for so long. Like the view? It's the only thing you'll catch tonight.
Is Batman your new boy toy? I have one too. None of this is my fault. He made me control Superman.
What's his name?
He calls himself Hush.
The events of the past months reach as high as Superman and as low as the Joker. All were set into motion by Hush.
Is it too much to ask for one quiet weekend?
It's like they're all crawling out from under the carpets now.
Hush knows. He's been one step ahead of me the whole time.
Tick-tock, trail's going cold.
This just gets better and better. Hush, Batman. Hush.
All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, back to talk about something that just came out on DVD today. You could get it on digital other days, but we're talking about Batman Hush, based on this graphic novel from Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb from a little while back. It's one of my favorite graphic novels. I love Jim Lee. He's my favorite comic book artist of all time. He's got some just, every time I look at the visuals that he draws, this is such a good looking book. It's got the famous, Bat-Cat moment. And so and it's a really good mystery. And it doesn't, I had to read it again. Every time somebody talks about Hush, I always have to read it again because I forget how good it actually is, because I get so wrapped up in how good it looks that I forget there's a really good story in here. And it's got a bunch of people in this movie, and we're gonna hit them. So you've already seen the trailer. Okay, so in this one, Jason O'Mara is back as Batman. Well, he's not Kevin Conroy, and I kind of get why they don't do Kevin Conroy in every one of the Batman or even DC animated movies. And so I think Jason O'Mara fits pretty good in this. If you don't know, he's already been Batman and done a pretty good job, and here's an example of that.
Wait, you're not just some guy in a bat costume, are you? Are you freaking kidding me? What? Nobody asked you to prom, so now you dress as a bat and prowl around your parents' basement?
What's this do?
Huh?
No buttons. I assume it works off concentration.
How'd you do that?
You weren't concentrating.
You won't do that again.
Unless I want to.
That's it! Let's rumba, Spooky!
Alright, so yeah, he's already a veteran of doing Batman. We've also got people like Jerry O'Connell in there. Jerry O'Connell plays Superman in this, and Jerry O'Connell, he's an interesting guy, and this is... I was trying to think of clips of these people in comic book movies, but I found this and just figured, well, this is where you might know Jerry O'Connell from.
Why are you acting like this?
Shelby, you are the one who's rushing things.
Rushing what?
Shelby, look, I like you a lot, but things are just moving a little too fast. I'm just not ready to say I love you.
What on earth makes you think I want you to say I love you?
Oh, come on. Back there, you wouldn't do it because I wouldn't say those 3 little words.
suck my...
Okay, and yeah, I cut away on purpose because even though I don't mind swearing on my channel, that scene kind of goes for broke with the word cock. Okay, so I cut it off right there. Also, Jerry O'Connell's married to Rebecca Romijn. I believe they're still married. And, well, she at least has a superhero background, even if he doesn't. And here's where you might know her from.
I don't answer to my slave name.
Raven Darkholm, that's your real name, isn't it? Or has he convinced you you don't have a family anymore?
My family tried to kill me, you pathetic meat sack.
Okay, then, Mystique. Where is he?
In here, with us.
I don't want to play games with you. I want answers.
You don't want to play games with me? You are going to stop this. Tell me, where is Magneto?
You want to know where he is?
And since you can't have Superman and Lois without your Lex Luthor, they got Rainn Wilson to play Lex Luthor. And Rainn Wilson's got a little bit of a background in superhero stuff too. And let's show what he can do.
That you realize that there's like a sailor's hat involved.
Hey.
Like
Sailor's
actual,
hat?
like,
Are you kidding me?
Hey, excuse me.
So you just can't
Hey,
like that?
hey.
It's weird.
No butts.
What difference does it make to you?
No butting in line.
It's
You should go to the back of the line now.
Go fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. Yeah, like, you know, this big handsome guy back here looking like fucking shit. Literally, what's wrong with his face? I don't know if it's flat or wide or like, anyway.
Mommy! Annie, come on.
Hey! Don't butt!
Who do you think you're fooling? I just saw you. Wait.
You got it too!
Yeah, and that one's from one of my personal favorite movies, Super by James Gunn. If you haven't seen that movie, definitely check it out. So this movie has a good cast. All right. And it's got a good story that it can tell. Like however you want to decide about, you know, how accurate they are to the book. And so, like, it's hard to talk about this without getting into spoilers. So I'm going to try to talk about it simply and plainly. Is that this is a pretty good Batman animated cartoon. Okay, it's got the mystery. It's got the rogues gallery galore. It's got a bunch of characters and a bunch of cameos, and it does a good job with the mystery about what's going on. You know, there's a character called Tommy, who is a friend of Bruce's from the past, who's like a doctor. He plays a part in this. You've got Clayface, Scarecrow, Joker, Harley Quinn, Riddler, Bane. You've got Poison Ivy, you've got Superman, you've got Lois, you've got Lex, you've got, I think I might have nailed them all. That might have been all of them. So there's a lot going on involving, you know, this character named Hush, who knows who Bruce Wayne is, and is sending all of his enemies after him to basically whittle him down. And in the midst of all this, we have Batman and Catwoman finally becoming a couple, if you can call what they are a couple. Now, without getting into spoilers, there's nostalgia all over this. Whether I don't know if it was all intentional or not, because some of the city skyline, the cityscapes reminded me of the animated series. But like the Batmobile looks kind of like the Batman Forever car. Selina's got a cat named Eartha. The guy who plays Alfred sounds like he's doing a Michael Gough impersonation of Alfred from the original Tim Burton movies. It feels like there's a lot of kind of stuff that they're trying to throw at us in this, on top of like the misdirection and the mystery of everything. But in the end, like, I honestly could have done without a lot of the Batman and Catwoman stuff. There was a lot more in this as far as romance between them than was in the book. There's a lot of Bat-Cat sex, but not like, you know, seeing it. There's just a lot of lovey-dovey. There's a scene where you can see that they're in the shower steaming it up. There's a bedroom scene, like, at one point. There's kissing and kissing and kissing, and it's just, there's a lot of it in here. And I feel like when there's a lot more that they could have put from the book in here, they threw a lot of the romance in here, and I don't know why. I think we get the point, and like everybody's gushing, you know, Nightwing and Alfred and all these people, and Damian like even chimes in, which Damian's not even in the book. And Lex in this. Lex is saying he's we're going to have to get into spoilers. Is it worth a rental? Sure. Is it worth a buy? I do think I'll buy it. I do like it. I have some problems with it, but the action's really good. Some of the voice work is really good. The mystery is good. It's good enough, I think, that it's something that I would want to check out here and there. But I'm not going to run right out and buy it. But it definitely is a good rental. I do have some complaints about the animation. Some of it's pretty good. Some of it's really bad, especially like the Joker's design and the animation. A lot of this he just doesn't look right. He looks really ugly. You know, your template is Jim Lee, man. Your template. You don't have to, and some of it, like all the Batman stuff and like Clayface was really cool. A lot of this just looked really cheap, to be honest with you. And some of the voice work is really flat. And I hate to point it out, but it's like Batman's supposed to be kind of flat. And I didn't even mind the guy doing like the Alfred from the Tim Burton impersonations, but like Jennifer Morrison as Selena Kyle, Catwoman, was just she sounded bored. She sounded really bored, and it goes across the board. The girl who played Poison Ivy, little fruit fly in here, was just so flat. And I kept trying to think, well, maybe Selena sounds this way when she's, you know, because she's under no. And even Lois Lane, they just sounded so like they were given no direction, and it just was flat. And in fact, everybody kind of in this, except for like Joker and Harley, and the villains, kind of, even Hush. I mean, you'd expect Hush to be that way, but like everybody just sounds really flat for the most part. And I do think, you know, like the Bat family works because they're supposed to sound like that. But everybody kind of sounds flat in this. Even like Superman was just boring. You'd think he'd have a superness to it, and it's just like, hey, we got Jerry O'Connell and Rebecca Romaine for a day. Rainn Wilson had a, you know, even though you know it's Rainn Wilson's voice coming out of Lex Luthor, which is a little off, maybe a little off casting, but it's still, he gave it personality. And, you know, you'd have wished, well then, you know, get more Rainn Wilson in here. But other than that, without getting into spoilers, like those are my nitpicks at it. It's a nice length. I like that it's a full-length movie and they were able to do it. But again, without getting into spoilers yet, so definitely check it out if you're into this. If you've liked a lot of the Batman stuff that they've been putting out, this is pretty good. This is, you know, besides if you can look past some of the bad animation, and hang on here, this fucking thing always fades out on me. If you're here for the story and less for the performances and the animation, I think, you know, you can still enjoy yourself. That being said, we're getting into spoilers territory right now. When you subvert expectations, it's not always a bad thing. It's not. I understand that they would want to change some things for the people who read the book so that we're surprised more. I'm not one of those people, but if you're going to subvert my expectations, give me something that is at least on par or better than the source material. That really kind of missed the mark on a lot of this. Like, they substitute Killer Croc in the kidnapping scheme for Bane. And it's just like, it makes sense if it's Killer Croc, because Killer Croc's the kind of guy who would do a kidnapping. Bane wouldn't. They just used Bane so that they could put Bane in it. Also, Killer Croc in the book would have been a cool design, because at the time he was going through this weird mutation phase where he was turning more into a croc, and there would have been a cool animation to put in here. The stuff with Harley and Joker was pretty much spot on, and the stuff with Superman, Poison Ivy, and Lois Lane, that was all pretty spot on as well. So they hit some of the high points of the book, but then as it kept going on, it just went more and more off track. We lost the Huntress who was in here. We lose a ton of the Thomas storyline, where it's supposed to be, you know, this good bait and switch. And we get all this background into their past and their friendship. And it's all just basic. It's all just been ripped out of here. The heart of that story has been ripped out. And so he just becomes this one-note character that you're supposed to kind of think, ooh, is he going to be the bad guy? I mean, really, and they even changed like the animation style. Like, see how bright, you know, Jim Lee's stuff is. And then they go to kind of a more older look and faded and kind of aged look when they're doing the flashbacks, and that's throughout the like beginning of this book, and none of it's in here. And instead they fill it in with a lot of Batman and Catwoman just getting it on. And, you know, instead of like showing them when they were kids being wowed by the old heroes from before with, you know, the original Green Lanterns and stuff, and really basing it on the friendship and really selling it and bringing it home, so that way when you think it's Thomas at some point, but they forego all that, and they basically make it almost give you no reason to even have the Thomas Kincaid, I believe that's his name, story in here at all. And they're all over the place timeline-wise. So like, they got Bruce and Lois and them all meeting, and that's all well and good. But then they switch up like the end with the Riddler, which is supposed to happen at the very end, and the Riddler doesn't get into conflict. But in this version, the Riddler does go in for the conflict. When it would have been in the book, they do Clayface pretending to be Thomas Kincaid, pretending to be Jason Todd, you know, and it's all just Clayface, and it's really cool. And then you find out after the fact, you know, that it's Riddler running things from Arkham because of this brain thing that he has. And that's all gone. Instead, they have a fight with him and the Riddler, and he's got this weird, you know, question mark on his forehead, instead of it being like fighting his rogues gallery and then finding out very usual suspects where you go like discovering who Kaiser Soze is kind of situation. They just go for the big fight. And I thought, you know, they had a good detective story going, and then they just kind of blow it for an action sequence, and I felt like that's where it just disappointed. Was that you have this really cool story, and you could have done more with, you know, Selina and Batman's relationship, instead of making it, oh, well, they can't be together now because Selina fucking kills the Riddler at the end. You know, to show, oh, she would do the more extreme thing than Batman would. And, you know, someday, like, he doesn't even take her in, you know, which would have been fitting. Like, well, that was great, you know, but now I have to arrest you, you know, citizen's bad arrest or whatever. But there was all these different things that they threw in here, a little bit here and there. Damian, again, it wasn't in the book. It was Tim Drake. Lex was president in the comics at the time, and they make him like they give this random thing out there about how Lex is like a honorary or like a, he's a member of the Justice League with like training wheels kind of thing. Like they've got their eye on him. And it's like, where the fuck is that coming from? And why is that not mentioned or brought up again at all? For like what reason? Like, is this a continuation of some story that I don't know about? It got me really confused at a couple of parts. And it just felt kind of padded with stuff that dragged the story down and not enough of this cool stuff that was actually in here, in the source material. Because if you tell me it's for budget, like, there's even Ra's al Ghul is in this, man. Like, and don't tell me that they didn't have enough time, because they fleshed this out to 122. Okay? They would have had time. But they chose not to. And if it was for subversion of expectations, stick that right up your ass. And like I said, I do enjoy this. I did enjoy watching it. But I had to keep telling myself, stop thinking about the books. Stop thinking about the books. Think about this story in front of you. And so while they did a good job at making you wonder who was really behind it for a while, since they blew the whole Thomas Kincaid storyline, it made the whole mystery fucking pointless. Because then you don't know, like, there's a whole thing again with Two-Face in here that, you know, and whether Thomas Kincaid is dead or not, and where's Jason Todd's body and all that stuff. That's just not in here. So if you're going to throw in shit like Lex Luthor being like a member of the Justice League and throw in that Damian's there instead of Tim Drake and all that stuff, make it make sense. So I know I'm complaining a lot about this, and some people are just going to be like, shut the fuck up and enjoy it. I did enjoy it. But the purist in me also just goes, why? Why did you make these changes? I don't mind seeing things play out beat to beat. There's a reason I liked it the first time. If you're going to animate it, you've got the template right here. You don't have to change it. We bought this because and people buy this like by people's recommendations. You go to a comic book shop and somebody says, hey, do you like Batman Hush? They say, yeah, and you buy it and you read it and you go, man, I can't wait to see this put to screen. Like the Return of the Dark Knight, or the Dark Knight Returns, man. The cartoon that they did of that, which was fucking amazing how accurate they were. And did anybody complain about how accurate it was? No. So I don't know. Again, I still think it's worth a rental. I do like it when I can shut the part of my brain off that goes, there's a better version that I can just pick up and read. And honestly, I would rather read this again than watch it again. First. Like, I'd watch this with my nephew. I'd buy this for my nephew if he wanted me to buy it for him. But it's definitely something that, I'll buy later on when it's on sale. But other than that, it's like, if I was going to rate it like out of 10, I'd say it's like a 6 or a 6.5. But, like a 3.5 out of 5. Like, it's average, like, it's good, but it's not great. And even though there's potential there, you get lots of action. If you're just in it for the action, aces. You're going to get a lot of action. You get a lot of it. And it's really cool. But even that clip from Justice League War that I played seemed to have more personality to it than most of this. And that's all I'm going to say about it. And hopefully I don't lose any subscribers for this. But I'm telling you, I do like it. I just got to be honest about it. It doesn't get a free pass just because I've been reading and following Batman practically my whole fucking life. But anyway, that's it. That's Batman Hush. It's all right. It's pretty good. If you haven't read the books, it's probably better that you haven't read the book. Read the book afterwards and you'll know what I'm talking about. But nobody reads anymore, so what do I know? Otherwise, if you like this review, please hit that like button, comment, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Otherwise, this is Rob at Smirking Gun Reviews saying have a great night, and we will see you next time.